Hi everyone. So I basically wanted to make this video much sooner than I am, but I kind of wanted to just make a video about my experience with having a pregnancy that has suspected skeletal dysplasia, and basically just my experience with it and what I kind of got from it. As you can see, I'm very pregnant. I am currently 35 weeks and 4 days. So I'll start off by saying that in doing a lot of research after getting that diagnosis, I did not find much about, you find a lot about it, but it's a lot of scary information. It's a lot of like medical talk. I didn't find much of people's personal experiences, and I think that's more of what I wanted to see, because I don't know anyone that's been in this situation. So it's helpful to kind of you feel a little less alone if you have someone that you can sort of relate to, or even that you can gain information from, someone that's actually going through it or has gone through it, whatever it may be. I'm obviously pretty pregnant right now, so my face is swollen, my eyes look half gone, and I might be breathing a little hard, but yeah. So I'll start off by saying that in this pregnancy, from the very beginning of this pregnancy, I felt extremely sick compared to my first pregnancy. I do have a 3-year-old, which was a very smooth, perfect pregnancy, I would say. This time around, very sick from 5 weeks on, very sick, and it kind of never went away. Kind of still hasn't gone away. I'm 35 weeks. So I did it's crazy because with my first pregnancy, I did 0 genetic testing. I didn't want to do any of it, because really, who wants to? You want to know, but at the same time, you kind of get like, I just didn't want to know if anything was going to be wrong. I just wanted to enjoy my pregnancy. So I decided this time around that I would do the genetic testing. I did the 12-week scan where they check that area behind the baby's neck. That was completely normal. I also did the genetic testing. I did, we use Quest Diagnostics where I live, where I'm at. So I did a Q-natal test. It tests for Down syndrome, trisomy 18, tests for a bunch of things. I'm not exactly sure everything that it tests for. But I did do that one, and all of that came back negative as well. Everything looked normal, looked good so far. When I went in for my 20-week ultrasound, I did know and realize that something was wrong from just sitting there waiting for her to do it. I mean, it was the same person that had done my previous ultrasounds, and she was always, oh, everything looks good, or she would explain what she was looking at, tell me everything looked good, and then she would send me out there and wait for the doctor to call me in. Well, she was pretty quiet this time around. I kind of knew that something was off that she was seeing. I didn't ask any questions because I know that I was going to see the doctor anyway, and a lot of times the ultrasound techs don't really give you information if it's something not so great. So I was just going to be patient. And then also after the ultrasound, I left the room, and then she called me back in the room and she asked to get more images. So we did that. When I went into the room with the OB. She asked me how the pregnancy was, how everything was doing, if the baby was moving okay, if everything felt okay. I told her, yeah. It's kind of just waiting for her to tell me what she needed to tell me. She told me that the baby, so she said that the ultrasound tech saw some things that were off. She said the baby's long bones, her femurs, they're measuring behind, and she said they were a little bit misshaped, which she did show me a picture of the shape, which is called a bowing of the femur, where it's kind of like, instead of it being straight, it's kind of got like a curve to it. She did show me the picture of that. She also said that her arms were a little bit behind, and that they were going to transfer me to a specialist, which is like 40-45 minutes away from me, where I go, or where I was going at the time. Obviously, when she told me that, I kind of just wasn't even able to like wait to even get to my car to like cry about it. I just couldn't. Couldn't really keep it together in that office, to be honest with you. No one wants to hear news like that. So that was not easy. Because we all have, when you have a child, you want everything to be perfect. You want them to be healthy. You want everything to go smooth and look good. And it's very hard to hear otherwise. And I'm trying not to cry already because I know I'm going to. So basically, they referred me to the specialist, and the specialist, they called me with an appointment, which was, I had gotten the ultrasound. My 20-week scan was on a Friday. I believe they booked me up for Monday for the scan with the specialist. And I was kind of just went home, and I stood to myself that weekend. I told my family, and then I kind of turtle up in those situations, just because it's just how I do it, how I deal. So I went home, I Googled all this information, saw all of this horrible types of skeletal dysplasia, and obviously your mind goes to the worst place. But I went to the appointment. They basically, I actually met with a genetic counselor via a video call before that appointment. So it might not have been a Monday. I might be off with the dates, but I did do a video chat with the genetic counselor first. Which she asked me questions about my family history, about my first pregnancy, about my boyfriend's family history. She asked me questions about basically if something were wrong with the pregnancy, would I want to continue on with the pregnancy. At that point, I was 20 weeks, and she was telling me that if that in the state where I live, if I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, that would have to be done before 23 weeks. She offered me an amniocentesis, where they put the needle in your belly so they can do some genetic testing that way. She basically, I think, kind of went over my options, and went over the fact that I did do the previous genetic testing, which didn't show any, came back negative for Downs, and saying that it was very unlikely that would be it. She kind of went through the types of dysplasias that there are, and mind you, at this point, we didn't really know anything. So I think it was just a lot to take in at that time, a lot of information. I ended up writing a lot of it down. But I, at that time, declined the amniocentesis. I think she said it was a 1 in 400 risk of miscarrying the baby afterwards, which to some people that might sound like a large number. To some people it might not. To me, it does not sound like a big enough number for me to go with that risk. I also had no intentions of terminating the pregnancy if something were to be wrong. So basically after that, I went to the appointment. They did the ultrasound. They measured every part of her. I also found out during the genetic counseling video chat that they had mentioned, they had wrote in their notes that the baby's head shape was also off. That it was shaped, I forgot what they mentioned the shape like, but it was off. It wasn't a normal shape from what they were used to seeing, I guess. So when I went for the ultrasound, one great thing that they mentioned was that her head shape was perfectly normal. They did look at her long bones. They did confirm that her long bones were measuring behind and that there was some bowing of the femurs, which is that curvature I mentioned. They kind of went over the amniocentesis with me again, even though I declined it, which I just declined it again. From their standpoint, that's the better option. Like, that's what they kind of would need to gain more information about what is actually going on. But still not something that I was willing to do. So basically I ended up transferring my care to them. They didn't really give me any answers, by the way. It was kind of like, your answers are in the amniocentesis, which is what I heard a few times. And I ended up going for scans on the baby every 4 weeks, I think it was at that point. So I did we've been doing those, and I have to say, just to mention this, that this pregnancy for me, from the very beginning, like I said, it was like, I was like really sick. It was really different. It's just all around been a harder pregnancy, and it was hard before I knew that anything was wrong, before I was given any type of news. I feel like a lot of times you hear about postpartum depression, and I don't think another thing that people don't talk about much is depression during pregnancy. Because I do feel like I fully was going through that, and it was even before I knew anything was wrong. So just because it's just been a hard pregnancy. And I've never felt like this alone in something in my life. And like, I have a lot of support from family and friends. I have great support. But it's just it doesn't make a difference really. It's still a lonely pregnancy because I don't really know anyone that's gone through this, for one. So at the end of the day, no one can really fully relate or understand what I've gone through this whole time. So it's been hard. I've literally never felt like this before, but I'm someone who just, and everyone deals with things their own way. I'm someone who kind of isolates and deals with things on my own, and also I have a lot of faith in God and I pray a lot. So that's like the main thing that's God, that like, and you looking at me right now, you might think like I'm a wreck just because I'm crying about it. But it's because thinking about it, obviously I'm still pregnant. It wasn't years ago. It's still something that I'm going through, but I'm not at a point where I feel depressed. I'm not at a point where I feel super sad. I think just talking about it and like reliving that in my brain, like taking myself back to what I've felt this pregnancy, it's a little bit triggering, but I'm very grateful. I pray a lot. I have a lot of faith. So that has been something that's just carried me through this. It's hard because I chose against the amniocentesis, and not everybody does. But because I did, there's not many answers for me. To this day, I'm 35 weeks. Once I hit 33 weeks, they started seeing me weekly. They said at that point it was more so because the whole time nothing changed. My ultrasounds, nothing has changed. It's her long bones. It's mostly her femurs. Her arms are measuring a little bit behind, but not like the femurs are. They said the bone mineralization and everything else looks normal. It's kind of just the shape and the lag in them. But otherwise, and I guess in some forms of skeletal dysplasia, certain things can happen where the chest size might be too off, or the lungs aren't able to develop properly. There can be a problem with the kidneys. There could be a problem with the heart, with the head. And thank God that for me and for my baby, everything has looked normal besides the long bones. They did an echocardiogram on the baby's heart where they watched her heart for a little while, watched how everything is working with her heart, and everything looks perfect. They're monitoring her chest size and the size of her lungs to make sure that those are developing properly, and kind of gives them an idea of when she's born, will she need some type of help outside the womb as far as breathing. So far everything looks good. So the steady and the constant is the femurs in the way that they're measuring. So I've been going weekly at this point. I get a non-stress test every week. They do a Doppler on her umbilical cord, on the umbilical cord to check the blood flow. They're monitoring the blood flow, make sure everything is working correctly. And then every other week I have a growth scan where they're measuring her body again, seeing where she's at. 2 weeks ago, well, actually 1 week ago, it was last week, I had an appointment today. Today's Friday. I have appointments every Friday. Last week they measured her and she was, according to her measurements, 3 pounds and 12 ounces, which sounds very tiny because I'm 35 weeks, but to me that was amazing to hear, because 2 weeks before that she was just 2 pounds and 9 ounces. They said she had a good kind of like growth spurt there, so that was amazing. So she's 312 as far as a week ago. Next week I will find out what her new measurements are and how her weight is looking then. The goal is, I talked to someone from the NICU at the hospital where she will be being delivered, and what they have told me is that I'm going in for a scheduled C-section, by the way, and this was chosen by me. I did have a C-section in my first pregnancy, and I just felt like it was the better option for us this time around, especially because I didn't know at the time what was going on with her legs. What I just I felt like it'd be a little bit safer for them kind of to go get her rather than me trying to attempt a VBAC. Um, and also, I'm 35 weeks and 4 days, and she is still breech. The girl won't budge. So I'm kind of just, I guess that's one less thing I have to worry about, because if she chooses to not turn, I don't have to worry about it. They can get her out anyway with a C-section. So I'm scheduled for a C-section at 39 weeks, which is about, I think about 3.5 weeks from now, just about. I kind of forgot where I was going with this. I don't know. But I think basically the reason, like, basically I wanted to make this video and say, and I've read a lot. I do have pregnancy apps. I try to stay away from Google and what it says, because it's just scary what it says on there. It doesn't bring you any type of relief. So I do have an app called Glow, and then I have What to Expect, where they both have communities where people can actually chat, which I do enjoy that. People can chat, people can ask questions. So I did search up, and you can also search topics, and you can find those conversations where people have talked about this in the past. I don't see a lot about the skeletal dysplasia, so I did put that in there, and I did find some things where some people said their baby was in the less than 3rd percentile their whole pregnancy, and they were told that their baby had skeletal dysplasia, and that when the baby was born, the baby was fine. Obviously, that can bring a lot of people a lot of hope to read something like that. And the thing is, and the thing that I like about it is I haven't read anything negative about it. And even if some people said, yeah, I was told that in my pregnancy, and yeah, the baby came out and it does have this form, or it's all positive, and it's good. Like I said, it's good to relate to someone who's been through it. And even though I can't like speak to these people, because a lot of times these posts were like year ago, and like they're not even on the app anymore, so they're not responding, but it's just good to read it. I'm kind of like, the pregnancy was very hard for me for a lot of it. And I felt sick almost the entire pregnancy, and I still feel sick a lot of the time, which is like nausea or a lot of stomach discomfort. And now I'm at the point where sleep is not okay. It's like I'm waking up a lot. I'm very restless. It's not comfortable, and I'm not in pain or anything. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just not working for me right now. I keep losing track of what I'm saying. I want to blame it on the pregnancy brain. But yeah, so I'm at a place now where I'm very much okay. Like, I'm not stressed out about what's going to happen. I'm not worried about what's going to happen. I'm anxious to meet her. Very anxious to leave my 3-year-old, because I've never spent a night away from her in the 3 years that I've had her. She does not, whenever I'm home, she's home. Whenever I'm not home, she's still home. So she's always with me and her dad. So it's just, I think that's going to be one of the harder parts, is like leaving her and just not being able to see her. It's obviously in the middle of a pandemic. We have COVID going on. We're only allowed one support person at the hospital, which is going to be my boyfriend, but he also has to take care of my daughter, her daughter. So it's going to be a hassle. But we're going to make it work. And I think I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm anxious to meet the baby. Very anxious to meet her. After all this time, you're just like, who are you? I want to meet you. And yeah, it's just, I'm okay. I'm excited. I was told, so I was saying this before and I don't know how I got so sidetracked. I was talking to someone from the NICU. She was telling me that since it's a C-section, they're always there anyways. But because of the situation that is going on with the baby, when they've told me multiple times, she has something, we just don't know what. She has something, we just don't know what. So I never got answers. When she's born, since everything looks okay with her lungs and her chest size and everything like that, as long as she is above 4 pounds or 4 pounds and up, she doesn't have to spend much time in the NICU. They did tell me that after she's born, I might get like 20 to 30 minutes of chest to chest with her. And then they're going to take her for 6 hours observation. Which that part sucks also. I'm really not looking forward to that because I just want to have my baby and be with the baby. But I understand that they have to make sure that she's okay and they have to do what they have to do. So I have to suck it up and let her go for 6 hours. They did say that we'll be able to visit her in the NICU. So it's okay. I mean, it'll be fine. And they said once that 6 hour observation is over, if everything is okay, they're just going to send her back and then hopefully everything goes smoothly. Since I declined the amniocentesis, when she is born, they will be taking blood from either her or from the umbilical cord. And they will be running genetic testing that way. And then, of course, because with the amniocentesis, I believe it can take like 3 weeks or longer to get the results back. And I believe it's the same with this, that it takes a while to get the results back. Majority of the doctors that I met with didn't have, well, everyone kind of has a guess or an idea, but majority of the time they say, we don't know what she has, we don't know what she has. I did meet with one doctor who, which they've all confirmed, she doesn't have a lethal type of skeletal dysplasia, which there are lethal types. But like I said, since the rest of her looks good and it's really just the bones, they don't believe that it's that at all. But they, one of them that I did talk to does believe that what she has is dwarfism, which I believe my mother told me that there's someone on her side that has dwarfism. Other than that, I don't know where that runs anywhere in my line, but or my boyfriend's, but I don't know. I'm gonna love her anyway. It doesn't make a difference to me. I just want her to, I mean, every parent, like I said, we just want our kids to be happy and healthy and be okay. We don't live in the nicest world all the time, so I don't know. But anyways, we'll cross those bridges when we get there. I'm just grateful. I'm very grateful for this pregnancy and for this baby, who to me is truly just heaven sent, honestly. And I believe that deep down in my heart of hearts, that this baby is heaven sent and she's meant to be here. And I mean, all babies are heaven sent, but I don't know. And it's weird because I'm a huge like worrier in pregnancy. I have been pregnant in the past where it wasn't successful, where it wasn't okay, but it's weird because in this pregnancy, in the very beginning of this pregnancy, before I knew that anything was wrong, or if you want to call it that, I felt a sense of peace that I've never felt in the past before. And this was in the beginning of the pregnancy. It was like a piece of just not to worry, that everything was going to be okay. And that was before I found out anything. That was before my 20-week anatomy scan. I just had this sense of peace. And then after that, I kind of had my moments, like my weak moments, where I kind of like did fall apart, obviously. But the peace remains. I feel really, really good. I feel really good about the pregnancy. I feel really good about the baby. I'm at the point where I'm just ready to have her. Ready to meet her. And ready to hold her. Ready for her sister to meet her. I'm just ready. My 3-year-old is in the other room. And I don't think that she's going to be distracted for much longer. So I do have to end this. And this video actually is much longer than I thought it would be. So I apologize. I wanted to I felt like I was all over the place in this video, and I wanted to touch on as many things as I could, but I kind of obviously have a scatterbrain, as I forgot multiple times what I was talking about. But and I would like to I think I'm gonna make more videos after this. Just I want to obviously follow up with, after she's born, what I know, what I've been told, if I have any more answers, because again, this wasn't a very informative on medical answers for everyone. I think it was kind of I just wanted to share my experience, and if anyone had any questions, or if anyone was in the same position, just to know, I believe everything will be okay, for myself personally. And I mean, it's a lot has to do with our mindsets and the way that we think, and also our coping mechanisms, which, like I said, I pray, I have faith in God, and I just pushing through it. So I'm gonna end this here. I will pick back up and have another video and kind of follow up, if I can continue to follow up with the rest of this pregnancy, which is not always that easy because I'm all over the place, and I'm working, and but I'll try to follow up and think of other things to add. And that's it. I thank you for watching, if you've even made it this far, because I know this is a long video. I know I look like crap. My face, by the way, gains a lot of my weight, starts in my face, so my nose expands, my eyes are just like blah, and I get a chubby face. I get a little bit of an extra chin, but it's okay. I will hopefully see you guys soon in another video. If there's any questions or anything, obviously just drop a question and I'll be happy to answer. If you're pregnant right now and you're going through this and you're watching this, I understand what you're going through. If you're going through the same thing, I'm wishing you a happy, healthy pregnancy as well. And I'm always here to talk if anyone has any questions, or anyone just wants someone to talk to about what they're going through, because I don't want anyone to feel alone. It's hard. And that's really it. So bye. I will be back.